All right, MYB, thank you so much for coming back. Episode number 214, if you can believe it, of the Minding Your Business podcast, entrepreneurship, real estate, trending news. There's no business like minding your own. I'm coming to you on a very rainy, kind of dreary, gray day here in Memphis, Tennessee on October the 28th. So we're about to wrap up the month of October. And funny thing is, coming in, and thanks so much to our gracious guest that I'm going to introduce here shortly. But I had a little car trouble coming in. I was coming from an appointment viewing some real estate that I was looking to purchase. And I was on my way back to record this podcast, and my car decides to kind of act up a little bit. But then it changed its attitude and it kept going. So not quite as representative of 2020, but maybe it's more representative of how 2019 went, where it just kind of slowed down for a little bit, but then got back going. So I'm here, and I'm excited for today's guest that is joining us today, all the way from India. That she's joining us. She is the founder of Happy Self Publishing, and that's happyselfpublishing.com. And we're going to get into all things around authors, the author funnel, how you can get your book published, and how our guest, quite frankly, can really help you do that. Her name is Jyotsna Ramachandran. Did I say that right? Was I close?
Yes, you were close, Ron.
Oh, okay. As long as I was close, I want to make sure I get it though. But Jyotsna joins us from. Oh, I'm sorry. I say Jyotsna. Jyotsna.
Jyotsna, yeah.
Yes. Yes. So, Jyotsna, thank you so much for joining us all the way from India. Um, working there with your family and getting everything coordinated. I love your background there. Very studious.
Thank you. It represents the business I am in. So,
Yeah, absolutely. That it does. And so Jocelyn, let's get right into it if we can. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today. I mean, you're extremely accomplished. I mean, you've done TED Talks. I mean, which we want to get into that. I mean, that's incredible. I think a lot of people would love to know how you how you get to that point. You've published, hundreds and hundreds of different books for many different tremendous authors. I mean, you've been, featured in, many different publications and, from Upreneur to Inc. and the sort. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got your start.
sure, Ron. So, I basically help entrepreneurs who have a message inside of them to convert it into a best-selling book, even if they don't like to write. So that's what I help entrepreneurs, experts like coaches, consultants, speakers to do.
Yeah.
But how I got to this place is a very weird story, because I was never into the publishing business, nor was this my long-term plan. It just happened, Ron, after I became a mom, because
Okay.
I had just become an entrepreneur. I was running a staff recruitment agency from, I think that was about 9 years ago. And that's when my daughter was born. And after that, I decided that either I can just shut down what I was doing and just be a stay-at-home mom, or do something from home. So
Yeah.
I chose the latter, and I just started to Google and figure out what could I do, what can I run from home and not lose my career completely, but also stay closer to my family. And that's when I stumbled upon this concept of self-publishing. A lot of
Hmm.
people were doing this full time in countries like the US and Canada back then, and everybody was talking about it on the internet. So I did a bunch of online courses, and back then I didn't have the courage to publish my own book written by
Yeah.
me. So I would just hire ghostwriters and write several books on different topics. And luckily, those books started doing well. And it kind of gave me royalties, which exceeded the income I was drawing from my other business. So I completely shut down everything else and started to focus on publishing books on Amazon. And soon I got the courage to write my own book, Job Escape Plan, because a lot of people by then were asking me, Jyotsna, you're doing something from home. Could you just share how you managed to leave your job and run this business from home? So that
Yeah.
inspired me to write my book. But after
Yeah.
that book came out, Ron, everything started to change around me, because people got to know what I was doing, because I was an author now. And that's when I realized that I was not the only one who wanted to write a book. There are so many aspiring authors out there who used to walk up to me and ask me, could you help us do the same thing? And
Yeah.
that kind of gave me the idea to put all this together and start a service, a done for you service for aspiring authors. So that's how Happy Self Publishing was born about 5.5 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you get your start as you become a mother, and then you have this inspiration, and you publish your own book, and now you learn, Jyotsna, how to be able to provide that same value to others to be able to publish their book, which is, for those of you that are authors that are listening, that your book is, oftentimes, like a baby in itself for you. It's something you take a lot of pride in, and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's tremendous. Yeah, so as you're helping people, talk about those early days with the first few authors, Jyotsna, that you were working with. How was that? Was there any kind of stumbling, pieces through that, or was it pretty smooth sailing when you were working with kind of your early customers?
Yeah, I think initially it was quite a bit of a challenge. Before I started Happy Self Publishing, I was actually on a podcast, and the host of the show, she was the one who gave me this idea of starting a publishing service together. So we both got all excited because she had a very good network in the author community, and I had all this back end. Resources like editors and cover designers. So let's say, hey, this is really exciting, let's just partner together and start this business. And we had another
Yeah.
name for this company back then. And what happened was it was running kind of okay for the first couple of months. And then what happened was I had a big flood that in my city, which I never expected. And
Oh,
the
wow.
internet was cut. There was no electricity for a couple of days. And my other partner, who used to live in Armenia, that's a little country in Europe, and
Yeah.
she got so scared. She didn't know how to manage the clients because everybody was asking for me and what happened to their book and stuff like that. And there was no internet. And she freaked out and she shut the business overnight. And that was a crazy experience. After that happened, obviously, we spoke and we said, okay, this is not going to work because we did not have the right systems and the team in place at that initially. So she started to do something else, but I thought, hey, this is something that I'm really passionate about. I'm not just going to leave this. So I just rebranded it and started this completely on my own. So that was one crazy experience I had, which is not expected at all.
Right. So Jazza, tell us about, I guess, for those that are listening, who are interested in becoming an author, right?
Mm.
What's the best way for an author to, sort of, choose their own topic? I know that's something I ran into when I wrote my first book, Legacy Living, was, I had all these different ideas, right? And different
Right.
angles that I wanted to go, and different, subjects that I wanted to cover. What do you recommend for an author? I mean, they could be a new author, or could be someone who's written before, on how to best choose the right topic.
Yeah. Can I explain this with a three-step process, Ron?
Please.
Sure. So, this is one question that all authors have in their mind when they want to write a book. Some authors have no clue as to what should be the topic, but some authors have multiple topic ideas and they don't know what to choose. So, this
Yeah.
is what I walk all my students. Also have an academy for authors called Author Success Academy. So, this is what I
Yes.
teach them there. So, the step one is to make a big list of different topic ideas. And for this, you could use two approaches. You could either look inside yourself and ask, what are you good at? What is it that you love to talk about? Or what is it that people think that you are really good at, and they keep coming to you for advice? So those are topics that are really close to your heart. So make a list of those topics. Or there is also a look outside approach where you want to serve a particular audience, and now you start to brainstorm and think, what are their pain points, what are their challenges, where do they want to reach, what are their goals and aspirations. So you can use either of these two approaches, either look inside or look outside, and make a list of vague topic ideas. Now once you have these in front of you, the next step would be to see if you can pick a few where you have really your expertise in, and see if you can make it really different. Now, you could
Mhm.
make it different by doing two things. One is you could take a broad topic and narrow it down by choosing a smaller niche. For
Yeah.
example, the book could be on productivity, but you may want to write productivity for a startup owner or productivity for a new mom. It totally depends on what your expertise is in. So choosing a smaller, narrower audience for your book or a reader for your book is one way of making it different. The other way is to take all your life experiences and put it into a system. I call it your trademark solution. And a lot of authors feel that, hey, what I know is so generic. Why would somebody call it a trademark solution? But if it's your unique experience, if you just sit down and just jot down those steps that you took to reach where you are, that itself can be packaged into a system, right? So that's another way
Right.
to make your really unique. So that's the second step. The
Yeah.
third step is like a litmus test to see if you should immediately write that book now. And again,
Sure.
there are two ways to do this litmus test. The one way is to see if there is a reader base who is ready to buy this book. The easiest way is to go and check out Amazon and see if there are other books in a similar topic. If those books have a lot of reviews and a lot of sales happening, that's a very good sign,
Yeah.
right? And if you already have an audience, like if you have a podcast and people are listening, you could ask them if they would buy a book on this topic. So kind of asking the market if they are willing to buy that book is a good litmus test for the reader. And you also need to do a litmus test for yourself and see if the book connects with you. So it could
Yes.
either be your profession. If you've been a marketing a professional for 20 years and you're writing a book on marketing, great, because it's in line with your profession. But
Yes.
sometimes it is not. So then you need to ask yourself, is it your life's mess which you have converted into your message now, right? Like a person could have gone through a very difficult divorce, but now they want to help other people have a better experience when they're going through divorce. So it's
Mhm.
you're not a divorce lawyer or a psychiatrist or something like that, but it's your life's experience that you want to share with others. So that is also a good sign that that you're writing on the right topic. Or
Yes.
finally, if you are a newbie, you don't have the experience, nor is it your life's message, but you're simply interested in the topic, even then you can make that as your book's topic, provided that you interview a lot of other people and bring their expertise into your book, right? So
Yes.
by doing some of these things, you can actually narrow down your topic and also make sure that it's the right topic for your book.
Yes, absolutely. No, those are great best practices, Jyotsna, just to say the least, in terms of how to prepare and how to kind of narrow down your focus on your topic. Because I know that's a question I get asked a lot, is about determining what topic and kind of narrowing it down, for sure. So you mentioned Amazon. Do you work much with Amazon and encourage authors obviously to work with Amazon, and what's kind of
Yes.
the relationship there?
Absolutely, Ron, because I'm a huge advocate of self publishing. So, a lot of
Yes.
people think that I own a publishing house. No. What I do is
Yeah.
I just help authors to self publish their books by just providing the professional services that they need. Right.
Yes.
So, when I was choosing different platforms to publish my book, I realized that Amazon is the biggest market player. So, it's good to be there everywhere. So I encourage authors to have their books in all the different marketplaces, but your main focus to market your book should be through Amazon, because invariably for most authors, more than 90% of your revenue through your book sales is going to come from Amazon. So it's definitely a good place because the reports are very transparent. You can just go and check your royalties at any point of time, and you
Yeah.
can have it distributed globally, right? So, and the best part is Amazon's print on demand, where you don't have to print the books, you don't have to invest money upfront in printing and stocking and shipping the books yourself. Amazon would take care of everything. So it's really easy to set up, and that's my number one choice.
Yeah, absolutely. It was mine too. I published my book. I did self-publishing too, Jyotsna, back in
Mhm.
2015, with a book
Right,
called Legacy Living, and I did it
right.
through Amazon. And it was a pretty seamless process. I actually wrote the book. I didn't use any kind of ghostwriter or anything. I actually, typed it, in Word, and
Yeah,
it did a graphic. Actually, had a designer do the graphic for me, for the front and back cover, and was able to publish it. And it's done extremely well, kind of way better than I even anticipated as I was
fantastic.
writing it. So yeah, you mentioned royalties as it relates to Amazon. Yeah, talk about how authors can generate a business around their book and around their writings, because kind of the question I get often, Jyotsna, after determining the topic is, Ron, how do I monetize my book? Obviously there's the obvious of selling it, right, and putting it on
Mhm.
Amazon, things like that. But how do I sell it? How do I create the marketing kind of funnel around it?
Yeah.
so that it can, reach my target audience and be successful in whatever goals I set for it.
Great question, Ron. So, when an entrepreneur is writing their book, I just tell them that first of all, choose a book's topic that's related to your business, which can be attractive to your target client for your business, because your target client should be your target reader. So people then ask me, can I just write my life story, a memoir, or can I publish a poetry book? Then the next question I ask them is, do you have enough and more leads for your business that you're not able to manage beyond this, and you just want to focus on other hobbies of your life? Then you can write your memoir and stuff like that. But otherwise, if you're in the phase where you're trying to grow your business, then that should be your priority, and your book should be based on your business and nothing else. Your memoir can always wait. So that's what I
Yeah.
tell them. And if you're
Right.
writing your book based on your business, then it's very much possible to create something called an author funnel, which starts with the book. So an author funnel looks like this. Right on top of the funnel is the book. So a lot of times for a small business owner, the first time the reader gets to know about this person is through the book. So that's the first step. They found them on Amazon. They are searching for a solution on Amazon, and they wanted to buy a book written by a big author, and then they see your book as the next book, and they end up reading your book as well. So
Right.
that's how they get to know about you. The most intelligent way is to take people from the Amazon's ecosystem and bring them to your ecosystem, which is your website. See,
Yes.
a lot of one big mistake a lot of authors make is they write a fantastic book. The readers read that book, they love it, and then they forget about that, because they just get busy with life. So, and Amazon is not going to tell you who your readers are. They don't give out that information. You just know that
Yes.
you've sold a lot of books, but you don't know who those people are. So you need
Right.
to have a way to continue that connection with your reader. And the best way to do that is to have a lead magnet inside your book. It has
Yes.
to be a free bonus that can add more value to the readers. It could be like an action guide, some simple downloadable PDF like a checklist or a cheat sheet, or the audio version of the book, something that the readers feel can add more value to them, and they just feel like clicking that link and downloading that immediately. It should give them an immediate small win, right? That's the
Yes.
goal of the lead magnet. So once you do that, they go to your website, they claim that free bonus, and now you have a chance to continue the conversation with them. So that brings us to the next step in the funnel. So the first step was a book. The second step was this lead magnet. The third one is to continue engaging with them through more free content. And that could be through your YouTube channel, through your podcast, through your blog,
Yes.
some way of just giving them more value. Again, a lot of authors feel that, hey, I've given fantastic value in my book. Should I give them more content? Yes, you should, because they should remember you. And the best way to stay on top of their mind is to just keep giving them more and more free value. So that's the free value level. But out of all the people who read your book, there will be some of them who are really serious. So after getting that free value, if they know that you have something else which is uh, for which they need to pay, but it's going to be of value, it's going to help them take action, a small portion of them will be okay to pay for that. It could be a mini course for $97. It could be a mastermind community for $47 a month, something, which just makes them to open their wallet and pay you. That's the
Right.
next level, right? And once people come into that level and they see the fantastic value you offer, and if they are real action takers, they would probably want to work with your company, to hire you as a coach, to hire you as a speaker in their event. So that's the premium value you can offer. So while writing your book, you may not have everything in the funnel, but little by little, if authors start working on this funnel, then the book can be a fantastic way to bring in more clients to your business. So royalties is
Yes.
good, Ron. It is a good way to earn money, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real money is in the back end through the premium value that you have to offer to your readers.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, I love the way that you put that, and so plain and kind of smooth the way that you put that, and laying out that pathway, Jasna, to how to be able to monetize if that's your goal. Right? We know that
Yeah,
every author's goal is not to monetize,
exactly.
their book, or monetize it to a high level. But if that is your goal, it might be, then that's a great pathway that Jasna definitely laid out. Some of the habits of authors. Jasna, in terms of actually writing and finishing the manuscript. What what are some best practices there? Because you always hear about writer's block. You always hear, some authors decide to have ghostwriters and have someone else actually kind of write their book from maybe a topical idea. But in terms of finishing that manuscript and some best practices there, what do you got for us that can help us?
Sure, Ron. So I'm glad that you brought up this concept of having a ghostwriter. I call them angel writers now, because ghostwriting is very different. You just give a topic and somebody will do the research and write for you. But
Yeah.
angel writing is where the author's knowledge, stories, message is just captured through interviews, and the writer does not do any research for the author, but just takes their message and voice and converts it into a book, just like an angel would do. So that's an angel writer. So this is an
Yeah.
important decision one has to make. And ideally, see, it gives immense pleasure and satisfaction when you write your book yourself. So I would say that that should be the first option. So I tell my students in the academy that go through this whole process of choosing your topic, outlining your book, and then start writing your book. After writing a chapter or two, should pass it on to an editor to get their feedback, because we don't get clients only from countries like America or the UK, where the first language is English. There are a lot of authors who want to write in English, but English is not their first language. So
Yes.
what if they spend 3 months writing a book and then it's not even in an editable condition, right? So that's why I tell authors that first you give your chapter just write one chapter and send it to an editor and let them tell you what is the level of writing. If it's already great and you enjoy the writing process, then please do it yourself. If you're not getting the time, or you're not able to put in that discipline, or some people are dyslexic and they're not able to write but they can speak well,
Yeah.
then work with an angel writer. But if you enjoy writing, but you just need some accountability, some push, or I would say some guidance, then you can
Yeah.
work with a book coach or a writing assistant. So that's like a mix of angel writing, a little bit of somebody polishing your book, but you're writing it yourself. So there are multiple options available these days, depending on what exactly is the author's challenge. So now
Yeah.
let's assume that the author loves to write and they want to do this, but somehow they're just procrastinating and they're not able to get it done. So I would recommend a few good author success habits, as I call them. So the first
Okay.
thing is you should have your like how entrepreneurs have mission statements. You should have
Yes.
your author self pledge right in front of you. You could write it down. It can just flow like this, I so and so, you fill in your name. I'm the author of this book, so mention the title, which is going to be published on this date, so mention the date. And how is it going to help people? It's going to help 1 million people achieve blah blah blah. So that way you actually have a very powerful mission statement written, and laminate it, frame it, have it in front of you. So that way it reminds you every single day that that's what you're writing this book for. Having that purpose
Yes.
is really important. The second good habit could be to read some powerful affirmations related to writing your book. Like, I'm a best-selling author, words flow through me naturally, things like that. So that really empowers and tunes your mind and prepares you before you start writing. And the next habit I would say is to have a fixed time and a place to write. So a lot of people feel that, hey, I will write when I get the inspiration, but it doesn't work that way. Fix up a time that works for you, whether it's 5 a.m. or 3 p.m., whatever works for you. Just give 1 hour a day, every day for 30 days. And I think if that discipline comes in, it's easy to write a book that's about 25,000 to 30,000 words if you're able to give 1 hour of time every single day. So
Yes.
that's a good option. So have that fixed time and declutter your workspace and just have your computer and you. Turn off the Wi-Fi, because the Wi-Fi will give you the distraction, not just to check your social media, but some
Right.
authors say that, hey, I'm not into Facebook, but I want to do research for my book. That
Right.
will, deviate you, because I feel, Ron, that most authors already have 80 to 90% of the content already in their head. They don't
Yes.
really need to do too much research. But in the pretext of doing research, we just get distracted. So don't do that. Just write what you know, and later you can always do more research. So the next habit would be to turn off Wi-Fi and focus. And I would say the final one could be to have an accountability partner. So that's a very key component of my community, where I pair up these authors and make them accountable to each other so that they can be in touch with them every single day and push each other to write. So
Yeah.
being in a community of authors or just having another person holding you accountable can really, really help you to finish that manuscript. And finally, one super important thing is to just decide a launch date,
Hmm.
design your book's cover, and announce it on LinkedIn, Instagram, everywhere that you're writing your book and it's going to be out in the next couple of months. Because
Yes.
that's like a huge level of accountability when the whole world knows that you're writing a book.
Yeah.
So people who want to take up that challenge can, those who are watching, listening to this, if you've been aspiring to write a book, then just decide your book's topic, a good title and subtitle, get your cover designed professionally, and post it there on social media.
Yep, excellent. Yep, no doubt about it, Jyotsna. Yeah, in terms of social media, right? And so, I guess let me ask you this: what is the impact of social media there in India as it relates with authors? I know obviously Amazon's kind of outside social media, but in terms of the use of social media, obviously it's probably well documented of how it's utilized in here in the United States. But I'm
Hmm.
interested in India. How was it viewed? Is there a lot of wide usage and acceptance of social media, and then particularly among authors there?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely, Ron. Even among the general public, in the last few years, mobile phones have become very much affordable. Internet
sure.
costs have gone down, and the
Yeah.
speed has increased. So you won't believe in India. Usually, in developed countries, Google is the number one search engine, and YouTube is the second. In
Yes.
countries like India, YouTube is the first search engine. Like it's
Wow. Okay.
used
So
more
it's kind
than
of
Google
flipped.
because, yeah, because it's visual. You don't have to know how to read and write to use YouTube. So that's and everybody is on Facebook. The younger generation is on Instagram. So the
Yeah.
usage is really there. So what I teach my author tribe is to use social media to build their launch team and to create that buzz before the launch. So it
Yeah.
all starts with that big announcement of posting the cover. But along with that, I tell them, hey, don't just tell how fantastic you are by telling that you're becoming an author, but also
Right.
start engaging people who are interested in that topic by just creating a short form and asking them for their inputs because people love giving advice. So if you can just create a small Google form and say that, hey, if you would like to help me with this book, I would want you to just answer a few questions. And
Yeah.
when people answer those questions and then they leave their name and email, just ask them permission if they would be okay to be in your launch team. And most of them would say yes, because they've already spent their time giving you some advice. And that way you can just bring them all to a smaller group. It
Yeah.
could be a Facebook group, it could be a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group. People are using all of these platforms. Bring them all together and start feeding them a little bit of information every week.
Yes.
Because people love to know the behind the scenes of how your book is getting ready. And those people, it need not be thousands of people. Even if it's just 50 people supporting your book launch, that can really, really help get those initial reviews, get that initial feedback. And those people will in turn share your book to their audience. They could connect you with podcasters. They could do so many things, which is really important during the launch. So I think that way,
Yeah.
social media is really, really playing a major role in helping authors connect with their readers.
Yeah. And as you were explaining that, Josna, you actually gave me a tremendous idea for a book, yeah, as it relates to my podcast. And I'll share it with you kind of what I'm thinking. And this is kind of on the
Sure.
fly. I didn't have this written down or anything. Um, in terms of with my guests. So that, now this is episode 214, right? So I've
Mhm.
had 200 plus guests on my podcast over these last over 3 years now. And writing a book that would include, and, obviously, it can't be everybody, right? I'd have a encyclopedia if I had a book, that includes
Yeah.
writings from everybody. But maybe, yeah, I don't know if like a chapter or something. I'd love to have something that would encompass my guests that I've had on the podcast, and
Yeah.
not necessarily their experience and things like that, but maybe just inspirational quotes or
Hmm.
just something from my various guests who have shared tremendous value and dialogue on my podcast episodes over the years. I'm thinking about, as you were explaining that, reaching out to maybe a nice handful of my past guests, and kind of putting together kind of this inspirational book that would go out to the audience, as an audience of those that are kind of younger in their entrepreneur walk in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
those that are looking to, maybe transition, or maybe doing, moonlighting and things like that,
Mm,
from their 9 to 5. Just some inspirational kind of quotes, and maybe even taking some things that have been said on the podcast and kind of,
absolutely. You have all the content already.
yeah, yeah, I've got a ton of content.
Yeah, I think this is going to be amazing, Ron, because people love to collaborate on such projects. And
Yeah,
I've had a great experience working with an author. Her name is Alinka, and she wanted to collaborate on a project called Write and Grow Rich. So she's
yeah,
also a publisher. So she reached out to a lot of successful authors and publishers. And I think
yeah,
about 28 of us came together, contributed one chapter each. And the
yeah,
idea was, see, we all know how to become an Amazon bestseller because we've been doing this for a long time. But for
right,
most self published authors, USA Today bestseller was the next goal. And we knew we needed a bigger audience. We needed more money into marketing the book to make this happen. So Alinka
yeah,
came up with this idea that, hey, I cannot do this myself alone. But if we all come together, contribute content, and contribute our effort in marketing the book, then we
yeah.
can make it happen. And you know what, Ron? It not just hit the number one position in the USA Today bestseller charts, but it also was featured in what's the other one? USA Today,
But you
Wall
got
Street Journal.
The New York bestseller, and
Oh no, it was in the Wall Street Journal bestseller
Wall
charts.
Street
And
Journal.
that's
Okay, yeah,
something, we didn't expect, but it was possible because each of us was marketing it to our own email list, our own followers. So, when thousands and thousands of people read your book within a short span of time, it's
yeah,
easy to hit the bestseller charts. So I think you have a great idea, Ron, and a lot of guests doing similar things. So you can just bring all their stories together. And this is called an anthology style book, so you could do that.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I'd like to expand on that. Maybe we can expand on that offline, Jyotsna, here as we wrap up this particular podcast, and here in
Sure.
the next several weeks. I'd love to be able to get on your calendar and kind of explore that a little
Absolutely.
deeper, and how that could work. But yeah, it's just the idea that you kind of spawned on me as you were sharing. Um, so I guess after you publish your book, let's talk about kind of the after piece of it. So you publish your book, you've been successful. What are some things that an author should look to do kind of over time with their book? So, and I'm even thinking of myself, where I wrote my book 5 years ago, right? um what kind of involvement should I continue to have with it? Obviously, you continue to promote it, that sort of thing, to sell it. But besides that, what are some things that authors should look at, Josna, that for a book that they've had, maybe for some time?
Right. You're saying a kind of a relaunch or something like that, Ron?
Yeah, like a relaunch or kind of a refresh. Is that something you recommend for authors with their
Yes,
materials over time?
absolutely, Ron. See, one mistake a lot of authors make is they're on a high when they publish their book, right? And they
Right.
want to experience that high again. And as soon as it goes live on Amazon, they write to me saying, "Hey, this is the topic for my next book," and I tell them, "Hold on, what's the hurry?" Like,
Right.
because see, some people are full time authors and that is a different business strategy altogether. Their main money comes from the royalties and they publish 4 books a year, which is their strategy, and that is totally fine. And that's a different method. Whereas
Yeah.
if you're an entrepreneur and you've written a book and that's your first book, you should spend the next 2 3 years marketing that book before getting into the next book project, right? Because
Right.
I think you should get the best out of this before moving to the next. So, first of all, to sustain the sales, authors could do 2 things. One is to reach out to other people's audience who are the right fit for your book, because you only have, say, 5,000 people in your list, but there are so many other people doing similar work and their audiences could be the perfect fit for your book. And this is not a competition, but it's like a collaboration, and they will be happy to interview you. You can feature their blog post on your website. So doing a lot of collaborations with people in your industry doing similar things and reaching out to their audience, doing a free webinar for them, and at the end of it, you could just promote your book or even give away your book for free. Doing things like that will on a continuous basis. So you need to have a marketing plan and say, hey, these are the 4 things I'm going to do to reach out to other people's audience this month. So that's one way of organically growing your audience and selling your book. Another
Yeah.
way could be through paid ads. And 2 good places I would suggest is Amazon ads and
Okay.
Facebook ads.
Yes.
So Facebook ads may not work if the book is the only thing in your funnel, but if you have like a premium coaching program, then even if you don't make money by selling the book, the back end will take care of everything. So that
Yes.
way, Facebook ads is good. Amazon ads is even better because people are in the Amazon store looking for something, and when they type that keyword, your book shows up. So it's the perfect match, right, for you. So authors
Yeah.
could do these things on a regular basis. Now, if the book is now 3 years old and you want to give it that boost once again, what I
Yeah.
would suggest is see if you can upgrade the content. Like now in the post COVID-19 era, everything has changed, and you want to uh, make your book relevant for today. So
Sure.
add some content, interview more people, put make it like the second edition of the book and publish it probably with a new cover. And this
Yeah.
is the time when you want to give that spike in sales on Amazon, and for that it's good to run a 1 week promotion. That's what we do for all our clients. In that 1 week, we run ads in a lot of these promotional websites. Some people think, hey, is it useful to spend that kind of money for just a week's promotion? But
Yeah.
during that week, you will get thousands of free downloads, hundreds of sales, and that can really bring new life to that book, especially because now you want to relaunch it, right? So
Right.
doing that once in a while, probably once in 2 3 years, to give it, usually people do it during the launch to achieve that Amazon bestseller position, but doing it again when you want to relaunch it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely makes sense. Yeah. So I think that's tremendous advice, for all of us. And I was, looking at that because, like I say, my book now is 5 years old, and looking at, well, what's some ways I can kind of spice it up or kind of refresh it a little bit. Yeah, so
Right.
those are some tremendous thoughts, Jyotsna, to say the least. Yeah. You've done TED Talks. Um,
Mhm.
Many people listening to this would love to be able to do TED Talks, including myself. Um,
Sure.
so, what would you recommend for someone that had an interest in doing a TED Talk? What would you recommend? How to position themselves, what type of relationships that need to be built to be in
Right.
position for that type of opportunity?
Sure, Ron. Let me just authentically share what exactly I did, right?
Yes.
So it's been on my bucket list for years. Um, so I think this was, I think last in 2018, I said, fine, I'm going to make this happen this year. So the first thing
Yes.
I did, I will give you three important elements that one should have to get to grab their first TEDx speech. So what I
Okay.
did was I just went to TED.com and I looked at the upcoming events in my country. So that it's easier for me, right? So I just made a list of 10 upcoming TEDx events that were locally organized in
Yeah.
different cities. And I reached out to the curator of that event. So every event has an organizer, and usually the website of TED has their email address or their social media links. So I
Sure.
reached out to about 10 of them, and 7 of them replied. But let me tell you what I wrote to them. So first of all, I told them that, hey, I'm an author of this book. So that gave me that credibility. So if you're planning to go on a TEDx stage or a TED talk, it's important to have a book because it gives, it's not that everybody should have a book, but if you have a book, then it gives that instant credibility. So that's the
Sure.
first thing that I told about myself. The
Yes.
second thing that I told them that is that I know that the theme of your event is this, and my topic that I would like to share, or the idea I would like to share, is in line with the theme that you are planning to have. So every TEDx event usually is planned around a theme, and if you can find that out and see if you can um, merge your topic to suit that theme, that would be really wonderful. I'm sure all of us can talk about several different topics, right? But we need to see if
Right.
it aligns with their theme. So mention that so that they know that you've done your research, and if your idea is something different, they would love it. And
Yeah.
the third point that I told them is that I love sharing my messages, my ideas, and I already have a YouTube channel. I have spoken on several stages. So go check out my YouTube channel to see if you like some of my speeches. So this is another important thing because TEDx platform is all about captivating your audience as well. So they would want to know if you are good as a speaker as well. So the best
Yes.
way to prove that is to share some of your videos. So having your own YouTube channel where you have proof that you can speak well makes
Right.
a lot of difference. And if you just have these things ready when you approach these curators, it's you're going to have a very good chance of getting a yes. So 7 of them replied to me out of the 10, and 3 of them immediately said that they wanted to have me on their stages, and I went to 2 of them. So that's how it worked.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate the authenticity and transparency in which you shared that, Josna. That's tremendous and a great best practice in terms of the persistence in reaching out and just being direct, right? And then
Yeah.
having some level of platform existing already for something for them to go off of. So MYB community, I'd encourage you, like Josna said, that go ahead and have your book, get your book in place, and kind of have your YouTube, those kind of things cleaned up, your social media, prepared so that when you do get an opportunity to engage a principal within that TED atmosphere, that you're prepared and you have something to offer, right? So it's more than just saying you want to do it, right, for the glory of it. You have something of value to offer. And so start today. If you haven't, today's the best day to do it, right? And so definitely thanks to Josna for that. For you, Josna, what's kind of up for you? Obviously you have a tremendous family there with your children and your husband there in India. What's next for you, and how does family help you kind of through as you're operating your business, the support of your family?
Absolutely, Ron. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without the support of my husband and my parents and my kids. They teach me so many things every single day. And before I became a mom, I wasn't so ambitious. I was just taking life so lightly. But the minute I became a mom, I realized, hey, I'm getting older, and now I need to set a great example for my kids. I got
Yeah.
so much more disciplined and purposeful about my life after becoming a mom. And I think many parents become better human beings after becoming parents, because now you know that somebody is watching you all day, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So when it comes to supporting my business, uh, I have been running my business from home in over the last 8 years. So I think time management and sharing household chores, I think that is the key. So my husband is an energy healer and a relationship coach, and he also works from home. So it's just
Yeah.
that we are very I mean, we share our schedules, and we tell each other what's our week looking like and what support we need from each other. So we keep asking a lot of favors from each other. And I know when he's going to have his sessions with his clients. He knows when I'm having these interviews and client
Yeah.
calls. So it's all about balancing that. And yeah. And I think COVID has brought us closer in terms of spending the family time together. And I
Sure.
think it's such a blessing. I would say, though it has created a lot of uh, chaos across the world, but it
Hmm.
has also brought us all together as families, as human beings. So I think I cannot thank God enough for the wonderful life we all have, and thanks to internet that we are all able to still connect and
Yes.
maintain our sanity.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, and I appreciate you, sharing that, because I echo that, is having, wife and 3 daughters here. Matter of fact, they're here at the house, Josna, because they're doing virtual school.
Right.
So they're actually all here at the house. And so, yeah, for those watching, you may see them walk by. I keep the printer close to me so I can manage printing cost. I have to micromanage that a little bit with 3 little ones printing. And so you may see them MYB, as always, kind of walking behind me sometimes because they're going to the printer to get things for as they're in class right now. And so definitely, can appreciate that, Josna. And you're right, the coordination, the balance that it takes. And you make a tremendous point about the pandemic in terms of, there's negative impacts it's had economically and in many ways socially. But one of the things it has spurred on is the connection within family. And sometimes that can be a great thing. Other times it can reveal some things that maybe people weren't quite aware of when you're
Right.
around a person for many more hours than you're accustomed to, right? And
Right.
so that can have a different impact. But I think overall that positive impact of family and being around family. I mean, I've been around my girls this year way more than I
Ever
had in the
before.
past. Yeah, because I travel a good bit normally, and They're in school, and so typically we have kind of late afternoons and nights, Josna, to interact, and then weekends and that sort of thing. But since I haven't been doing any travel since March, and they've been at home here,
Mhm.
we've had an opportunity to have discussions and do some different, more kind of home based or local activities than we have in the past. And I
Right.
think that ultimately has brought us together. And I think a lot of people listening, can attest to that. And then there's other people who may feel like they've spent, more time with their family than they like. They may say, shut up, Ron and Josna, I'm tired of looking at these people, And so
Right.
everybody's perspective and view on that is definitely different. So, Josh, how do people get in touch with you if they've heard something today, obviously of great value, which they have, because I've learned a ton, and I believe people listening have learned a ton. How can people get in touch with you if they want to be able to utilize your services and your expertise to help them self-publish?
Sure. So if you're somebody who is excited to get started on your book project, just head over to happyselfpublishing.com and schedule a 30-minute book strategy call with me so that I'll be able to understand more about your book, share some more inputs, and then we'll see if we are a good fit to work together. And but if you're in your early stages and you're still figuring out is writing a book the right thing for me, then I also have a free assessment on my website right on top called the Author Success Scorecard. Please take that assessment and you'll figure out what's your author success score.
Yes. Yeah, that's excellent. That's a tremendous tool. And so they can go to happyselfpublishing.com and check that out and connect with Josna and her team there, and let her know that you heard her right here on the Minding Your Business podcast. Um,
Yes.
is podcasting in the future for you, Josna?
Oh, yes, I did have a show called Happy Self Publishing Show.
Yeah.
I did one season of that a couple of years ago,
Okay.
and now it's time that I revamp that and restart it soon.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So, yeah, I think you'd be a tremendous podcaster. Obviously, with with what you already do, as you know, there's value there, and so would love to be able to be a support there as you look to relaunch that particular effort
Sure, Ron. I will
around
definitely
podcasting.
let you know. And I've learned so much from you on this show because you're such a fantastic host and you've asked me such great questions. So, yeah, definitely I'll let you know once I restart that.
Yeah, excellent. And thank you so much for those kind words, Jocelyn. I really appreciate it. And, listen, thank you so much for taking time out. This is showcases MYB the power of, relationships and connectivity on how Jocelyn and I got connected. And I'm sitting here in Memphis, Tennessee, and she's in India, and we're able to have a virtual face-to-face dialogue. And hopefully you learn something from this episode that inspires you to be just a little bit better. And so, Josna, best wishes to you personally and professionally. I'm going to look to schedule that kind of book discussion call with you, so we can explore that idea a little bit more and kind of see what's kind of involved, from that end, and maybe looking to self-publish here going into 2021. And you would be a tremendous resource in doing that. And so, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ron. I look forward to that. And thank you once again for this fantastic opportunity.
Yep, absolutely. And so that was Josna Ramachandran joining us here, the founder of Happy Self Publishing. That's happyselfpublishing.com. And MYB, and as I can see in social media, a lot of thumbs up, a lot of hearts. And thank you guys so much for that. But again, thank you to Josna as our guest on today. You can always catch up with me at champronbrooks.com, where you can learn more about my various ventures. Matter of fact, my book that I mentioned earlier, Legacy Living, is still available there on Amazon. You can pick that up as well as connect with me, and reach out to me if I can be a resource, or if you have questions, guest recommendations, any of the sort. Always looking to get better, and that happens obviously with your engagement and your feedback. Listen, as I always say, there's three things that unite us, no matter where we're from, no matter what side of the tracks we're from. We all want to be a little better for ourselves, a little better for our families, and a little better for our communities. And if we can do that, when we interact with each other, that we can make this place just a little bit better. Go be great. Champ on the Minding Your Business podcast.